So then, as Jennifer walks away, Davy says, "Yeah, I'll tell you, your girlfriend's backyard ain't sugar free. That baby looks sweet." And it shows like Jennifer's like butt or whatever, like a close up of it, like he's looking at it as she walks away, and then Whitey goes, "Technical foul, technical foul. That's a lady, and you will not speak about her that way." And when he says speak about her that way, he grabs a fry, I think, from Davy's hand and throws it on the ground. And Davy goes, "Easy." And he goes, "She happens to be going through a tough time right now. Last spring, her husband of, oh God, is it 10 years? Husband of 12 years? However old the kid is, I guess." And he goes, "Husband of 12 years, ups and leaves her for some woman he met on the computer. She, what does he say? He's like, she had the courage to move back here with her boy and raise him on her own," or something like that. And then Davy says she's available. And then Whitey turns back to Davy and says, "Oh, you wish, man. You blew your shot with her 20 years ago." And then Davy goes, "20 years? Was that Jennifer Friedman?" And then Whitey says, "I'm surprised you have enough brain cells to remember." And then it fades to a flashback of when Davy and Jennifer were young and they were playing for the JCC basketball team, youth league basketball team. That's what it was. And Davy's like, "Hey, Jennifer, you want to come over? And are you still coming over to watch Dukes of Hazzard?" I think he says. And she's like, "That's a big 10-4, Davy." And then Davy's parents are like, "Hey, Davy, smile. Your mother wants to take a picture." And then he poses for a picture. And then his mom goes, "Thanks, honey." And then he's like, if my parents go to bed early, I could show you my basement," I think is what he says. And then Jennifer goes, "Keep dreaming." And then then it cuts to Whitey, who has like a huge white afro. And he says, "Aw, they make a nice couple, boogie, oogie, oogie." Fades back to modern day. And Davy's like, "I don't know when you were goofier, then or now." I think the word was goofy. I don't think scary. I think he says goofy. Yeah, I think it's good. And then Whitey sees Mayor Stewie Dewey. And he goes, "Good evening, Mayor Stewie Dewey. Out for some late night shopping?" He's like, "Actually," what does he say? He's like, "Actually, I had to go to the hardware store to help to get stuff to fix the ice sculpture or whatever." And Stewie Dewey goes, "Thanks for ruining the Santa and menorah display." Like, he says something along those lines. Uh, uh, Davy. And Davy says, "Oh, I didn't do it for you. I did it for the ladies," as these girls pass by. And the girls, you can hear them say, "Yeah, right." Like, they say it like that. And then Whitey says, "So do you have," he says to the mayor, "do you have any idea who could win the All-Star patch this year?" And then Stewie Dewey goes, "Well, anyone could win the," what does he say? It's like, oh God, this part of the movie is really hard for me to remember. But he's like, anyone could win. Could be you, could be me, could be anybody. And it's like, well, I'm off. And then Whitey goes, "Happy holidays, you're something. Happy holidays, your somethingness." I forget what he says to the mayor. And then Davy goes, "Good night, Mayor. And to answer your question, Spencer's gifts, they definitely have furry underwear." And Mayor Stewie Dewey turns around to reveal there's an old woman behind him, and he's about to explain himself. And the old woman goes, "You're gross." And then Stewie Dewey goes, "Ugh," and just walks away. And so then they're leaving the mall, and Whitey goes, is it just me, or when the mayor said it could be you, there was a certain sincerity in his voice? Or, and then Davy cuts him off and says, you actually give a crap about winning some stupid patch? And then Whitey goes, it's only the most prestigious award of the year, or something like that. And he goes, can you imagine? And he starts singing this song, and it's like, I won't you dance with me at the annual All-Star a banquet. Oh, we so fancy free at the annual All-Star a banquet. Everyone in town will be looking their best, even Mrs. Selman with the one extra breast. It's the kind of a night where your feet match when you feel nearly 5'3". You'll laugh and you'll dance and you'll pee in their pants, 'cause it's a patch at the All-Star banquet waiting for me. And then Davy's like, you take me home now? There was like a whole fantasy sequence when he's singing the song. And then the fantasy sequence ends, and Davy's like, can you drive me home now? And Whitey's like, oh. So they're in his car or whatever. I think the narrator is saying some stuff here, but I don't remember what he says. But then Davy pulls out of his jacket some peanut brittle, and he starts eating it. There's a See's candy. I think that wasn't mentioned in Whitey's little mall song, but there's a See's candy in the mall. And so Davy starts eating this peanut brittle that he pulled out of his jacket. And Whitey looks over suspiciously and says, how's that peanut brittle? And Davy goes, crunchy and delicious. And then Whitey goes, funny, I don't remember Denise or Janet ringing that up for you. And then Davy goes, I guess that means I stole it, doesn't it? And then Whitey has a mini seizure, and he freaks out and brakes really hard while driving. And Davy says, easy, seizure boy. And then Whitey, from braking really hard, hits the steering wheel, so you hear him go oof, and you hear the horn honk. And then Whitey says, that's it, I'm calling the judge. And Davy goes, go ahead, I'll be on the first bus out of here. I ain't spending 10 years in prison. And Whitey says, what does he say? Don't think I won't, or something. Don't think you can intimidate me just because of my size. And then Davy goes, oh, you're shorter than me? I didn't realize that. And then he starts bouncing Whitey up and down like a basketball in his seat. And Whitey's like, put me down, and get out of my car right now. And Davy goes, oh no, you're going to make me walk 10 feet? 'Cause that's where I live, idiot. And he points over his shoulder to reveal a trailer car. And that's where Davy lives. And Whitey goes, oh. And Davy goes, thanks for the ride, Patchy. It was great patching with you. And I guess I'll patch you later. And he slams his car door. And then Whitey thinks for a second. And then he says, I'm letting this one go, Stone. But next screw up, it's slammer time. And he goes, hmm. And then he starts up his car. And it's stuck because there's snow everywhere. It's the middle of winter. And his car is stuck in the snow. He can't get any traction. So then Whitey sits there for a second, looks over to Davy's house. Davy's entering his home, and then it cuts back to Whitey, who's rolling down the window. And Whitey says, you got any sand or rock salt in there? I need to get some traction. And then Davy says back mockingly, got any sand or rock salt in there? 'Cause I need to get some. Oh, shut up. He slams the door. And then Whitey says, he could have given me a little push or something. And then he goes back to trying to rev his engine and everything like that. Cuts to Davy inside of his home, and Davy walks to his fridge to get a beer and shuts the fridge door. And then something falls off of the fridge. He goes to pick it up, and it's revealed that it is a letter that says to Davy on it. And then he gets up and he looks at a framed picture of his parents that's sitting on top of his mini fridge, puts the letter in front, sets the letter in front of it, and then he walks over to his little like dining booth that he has in his apartment. It's a trailer. He turns on the TV, and then he's like, the TV says, happy, like, what is it, like, and for those it says Merry Christmas, and for those celebrating Hanukkah, we wish you a very happy, like, I think like first night Hanukkah or something, and the very happiest of Hanukkahs. And Davy goes boo and unplugs his TV, and then it like fades, and it's implied that time has passed, and Whitey is still out there revving his car, and Davy's inside his trailer laughing the whole time. And then these pack of deer show up, and Whitey's like, oh, and they start eating in front of his car, and Whitey goes, hey, and the deers perk up and they go, huh? And he's like, Davy says, or not Davy, Whitey says, I think he says like, can I get some help? Something like that. And the deers all talk in deer and are like, oh, and like basically they go behind the car. One of the deers explains through visuals that they should all push the car with their heads. So all the deers get back there except for one that's standing in front of the car for whatever reason. I don't know why. And then Whitey goes, a 1, a 2, a 3. And then when he says that, the car moves, like all the deer had helped pushed him out of his spot. And he goes, have a holly jolly one, you guys. And all the deer are like chattering, and they're really happy that they did that. And then the narrator's like, isn't it always nice to see like a pack of deer help a motorist in need? If only they had shown up sooner or something like that, because his sister Eleanor doesn't like for him to be late or something, and she was waiting. And then so they show Whitey's house, and it has all of these holiday decorations, but they're not even like, only some of them are real holiday decorations. The other ones are just like crap made to look like angels or made to look like a nativity set. Like it's all just random bullshit on his lawn. And then you can hear Eleanor as Whitey enters the house. She goes, Whitey, you're an hour and... I think it's an hour and 15 minutes late? Or 45. He's like, you're an hour and 45 minutes late, and I already called the morgue. They said you weren't there, but to try back later. And Whitey goes, I had a very interesting talk with the mayor tonight. And Eleanor goes, the mayor? Was it about the ruffians who stole my Liz Taylor wig? And then Whitey says, Eleanor, that was 45 years ago. And then Eleanor says, I'm still shaking from it. And then Whitey says, the mayor seems to... I'm so sorry. I think he's like, the mayor seems to think that I might have a chance at winning the patch this year. And then Eleanor goes, oh boy, let's just soak our feet, brother. Cut to a shot of their feet, and it's revealed that Whitey's big feet, the big foot, little foot, mirrors Eleanor's big foot, little foot. So it's revealed that they both have this, but it's like mirrored. And you hear Whitey go first position, and then when he says second position, they put their feet in these big tubs of hot water. And they both go, ah. And then Whitey says, see you later, Smell. And then Eleanor says, just don't get your hopes too high about the patch. And then Whitey says, I can take care of myself, Eleanor, trust me. And then she goes, ugh. And then she pulls a trombone out of nowhere. And then she warms up her lips before playing. And then she starts playing the trombone. And then Whitey kind of bobs his head to it, but then he ends up falling asleep to the music. Cut to morning time, and the narrator explains that Whitey, because like they have all these stupid decorations and everything, he has to get a lot of odd jobs around town, and so he's always up at the crack of dawn to make ends meet for him and Eleanor. So it shows he's like in the parking lot of the mall, I think, and he's putting the star up on a tree, like a really tall tree. And Whitey's all the way up there, no ladder or anything, and says, "How's that, fellas?" while holding up the star on the top of the tree. And then one of the construction workers down below says, "It's crooked, shorty, move it to the right." And Whitey goes, "You got it." And when he goes to move it, he breaks a branch and goes, "Whoops." And then he ends up hitting a bunch of branches on the way down. And then he lands in a fake like present box, and he comes out of it. And one of the construction workers goes, "Oh, look at that. It's a jackass in the box." And they all start laughing. And then one of them goes, "Let's go get some coffee." And then Whitey says, "Anything else I can do for you guys?" And one of them says, "If you clean out the crappers, I'll give you $1." And then Whitey looks at it like kind of grossed out. And then he goes, "Consider it done. Nice doing business with you." And by the way, when they said crappers, he meant like porta potties. I didn't specify, my bad. So then Whitey picks up a hose, and he starts like singing the tune of the trombone playing that Eleanor was doing last night. And he's going, ya-da-da, ya-da-da, ya-da-da-da-da. And once he says that, or sings it rather, you can hear Davy throwing up in one of the porta potties. And he gets out of the porta potty, and Whitey says, "That's what happens when you hit the bottle, pal. You go to sleep in Dukesbury, you wake up in Pukesbury. Hee hee, Pukesbury." He laughs at his own joke. And then Davy shoves him into the porta potty that he's currently cleaning. And he shoves the porta potty in a way that it falls down the hill. And so then Whitey crawls out of this porta potty once it hits the bottom of the hill. And it's revealed that all the contents have definitely shifted, and Whitey comes out covered covered in shit, and he says, "The worst has happened. I'm covered in human feces." And then Davy, with the hose that Whitey was using to clean the porta potty, says, "That's a good look for you, but for health reasons I should spray you off." So then Davy then commences, is that the word? He starts spraying Whitey with the hose. And by doing this, because of the temperature, Whitey ends up freezing with shit still on him. And Davy said, and he's frozen now. Whitey is frozen. He's like in a block of ice. And Davy says, "Smell you later, Poopsicle." And he laughs and climbs back up the hill. And Whitey calls him, he says, "You're a freaking degenerate." And Davy says, Davy says, "I know I am." So then a lot of time has passed. It is nightfall. Remember, this started in the morning. It is nightfall. Whitey has been frozen like a block of shit since the morning. And the deer from the night before show up again. And Whitey says, "A little help, fellas?" And the deer see him and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's him again." So they go up to Whitey and they start licking the ice off of him. And Whitey's giggling, saying that your tongues tickle. And then one of the deer gets up from licking him and smiles at the camera, and reveals there's shit all in his teeth. And then the narrator says, "Ooh, you were right. That was gross." And then it cuts. We then are at the gymnasium where the first like basketball game happened. And it shows Whitey sitting in the bleachers, and Davy shows up and he says, "Hey, Thumbelina, there's no game tonight." And Whitey was like, "I thought you could use a refresher in rules and regulations," or something like that about basketball. And Davy says, "You're nuts. I'm going to go pound a few." And then Whitey says, "First of all, you booze, you lose. And secondly, if you don't turn around, Officer Sherman over there, I'm sure would love to hear about the infamous peanut brittle incident." And then it pans over to reveal Jennifer's son, Benjamin, dribbling a basketball poorly. And Davy says, "What's with the Duncan Munchkin?" And Whitey explains, "Jennifer had to do a late shift tonight, so I think he's like, I offered to look after him or something." Basically, he's babysitting Benjamin. And then he says, "Now Papa squat you two so we can go over some, like, basketball stuff or whatever." So the two, Benjamin and Davy, look at each other. They're like, ugh, like there's no way out of this. So then we see some guys playing basketball, and one of them gets pushed or knocked over, I forget. And the one who's on the ground who got pushed over says, "Charging my ball." And then Whitey says, "See, that wasn't a charge. It was actually blocking. The defender had both his feet planted in the ground." And then Davy says, "Oh, really? Because I thought that was high sticking." And Benjamin starts giggling. And then Whitey says, "Don't encourage him, Benjamin. He's just jealous because he can't play no more. All the years of drinking have destroyed the basketball playing lobe of his brain," or something like that. And then Davy says, "Hey, I could beat any of these clowns, even with you as my partner," saying to Whitey. And then the guy who fell, like charging my ball, that guy, he says, "I'd like to see that." And then reveal that they were standing there. And he says, "I'd like to see that right now." And he throws a basketball at Davy. Davy catches it. And Whitey's like, "He was just kidding, fellas. Whole lot of jibber jabber. We don't want to play you guys." Something like that. And Davy goes, no, then the guy says, "A drunk and a midget could beat us. I'd eat my own jockstrap." And then Whitey says, "We don't want any trouble, fellas, really." And then Davy's like, "I'll play, but if we win, you gotta eat that guy's jockstrap." Cut to reveal a fat man dribbling a basketball poorly. It hits him in the face, and then he turns around to reveal his jockstrap, which is very sweaty. And he goes, "It's on. Wear shirts." And then Whitey says, "Oh boy, does that mean wear skins?" And then Davy is shown shirtless. And he says presumably to Whitey, "I don't see any skin, monkey man." Then it shows Whitey looks like he's wearing a shirt of hair. He looks like an ape, basically. And then Whitey looks down at his body and says to Davy, "Just pass me the ball." And Davy goes, "All right, Fuzzy Wuzzy." And then Whitey says, "All right. I want a good, clean game. No back talk. He says, okay, no double dribble, no back talk. I want a good, clean game." He's saying this to himself. And then Davy says, hey, Thumbelina, you're playing, not reffing. And Whitey's like, he's right. Find your opportunity and take it. And then this guy who's standing there looking down at Whitey, we pan down to reveal his legs are kind of separated, and Whitey goes, there it is.